Hi everybody, this is Godsgirl G. I am making a video today that is called Things to Consider Before Either You Continue a Relationship or Say I Do. Just some considerations. Doesn't mean the showstoppers, but something that you need to really think about. This was inspired by an email that I received from someone, and they were just trying to figure out if that person was the one for them and that type of thing. And just in general, you hear a lot of people say, I just didn't know about the warning signs and I didn't know it was going to be like this. So I have about 11 things that you really need to consider before moving on with that person. And they're not in any particular order. So here it goes. Consideration number 1. You have to over-explain yourself. Case in point, you go to a restaurant and you just so happen to like chicken. And the person sitting across from you saying, why do you always have to have chicken? Now, at some point, that person needs to let you be just who you are. Maybe you just like chicken. So some things you need to consider. That's consideration number 1. Consideration number 2, they do things that violate the core of what you stand for. For example, if you try to live a celibate life and they constantly always trying to ask you to have sex before marriage, that might be something that you might want to pause and really look at, because if they're having you violate something that you vow to stand for before you get married, what they gonna do after you get married? Another case in point, if you a Christian and they're an atheist, how you gonna make that work? The Bible says that how can two agree unless how can two walk together unless they agree? And it's not even that deep with the spiritual things. It's just the core things that you believe in. Consideration number 3. They make or ask you to compromise your relationship with God. If you believe in tithing and they're constantly saying, why you always have to tithe? Why do you always have to do this? Why do you always have to do that? You need to think about that. That was consideration number 3. Consideration number 4. This is a no-brainer. They call you names. Now, I don't know about you, but if they're doing that before you get into a serious relationship or before you marry them, you might want to pause on that one, because if they're supposed to be on their best behavior in the dating phase, what they gonna say to you when you get married? If they always calling you stupid, dummy, fatso, no. Ladies and men, it's time to say bye-bye to that person. Consideration number 5. When things are bad, they are really bad. In other words, they're constantly putting you on an emotional roller coaster. By the time you get to your 5th year wedding anniversary, you're going to be drained. You're going to be wore out, and you're supposed to spend a lifetime with this person. It's supposed to be until death do you part. You're going to be in your grave by year 5. They're going to wear you out so much because they're going to constantly have you up and down, constantly having you up and down. That was consideration number 5. Consideration number 6. You have to ask, or you wonder if they really love you. If you're all the time saying, do you really love me? That's either some issues with you or that person don't really love you. Because if, again, they're supposed to be on their best behavior before you get married, what they gonna do after you're married? That was consideration number 6. Consideration number 7, you are uncomfortable introducing him or her to your family because you don't know what they're gonna say, you don't know what they're gonna do. If you are uncomfortable introducing them to your family, either because of their lifestyle, what they do for a living, the whole 9 yards, then that might be something you to think about, because you know what, when people marry you, they actually do marry your family. And I know that we want to believe that when we get married, it's just me and him and me and her against the world and we all by ourselves on the island. No, the family mixed in there with you, because when you marry her or him, you do marry their family. Now you can set some boundaries of how much you want the family involved, but you gonna marry the family too, okay, and all the stuff that come with it. Okay, that was consideration number 7. Consideration number 8. They are jealous of your relationship with your family. Now, I'm not talking about they're just wanting some more time from you because you're always over your parents' house or your mom's house or your sister's house or your brother's house. But just maybe around occasions that you've discussed that are really important to you, such as maybe the holidays. Maybe every Thanksgiving your family gets together and does something special. If they've got a problem with that and they're jealous of that, before you get married, why in the world do you think that's going to change after you get married? Some things to consider. Consideration number 9. And this goes hand in hand with what I had talked about earlier. They constantly criticize you. They're constantly putting you down. It's like, oh, your hair's not long enough. Or for men, oh, you know what? Your hair needs to be cut better. You lose about 10 pounds. You need to lose about 5 pounds. You need to gain weight. If they're constantly criticizing you before you got the phrase now, before you get married, why in the world you think it's going to get better after you get married? Because if they're asking you to constantly change stuff, then it's obvious then you're not the one for that person. Because at the end of the day, God has created us the way that He has created us, and it is what it is. Okay, consideration number 10. They want to rush things. You've been dating for 3 days, and they talking about getting married next month. You have not gone through enough seasons with that person to really understand who they are and how they respond to emergencies, how they respond to life crises, how they just respond in general. You really need to know someone for really about 9 months at the least to try to get a full spectrum of how they respond to them, because where we lose each other is not in the good times. It's in the bad times that we lose each other. And if we're having a problem before we get married, we're going to have a problem after we get married. My last consideration number 11. They don't take time to know you. Case in point. It's your birthday. They go out and get you this wonderful crystal figurine. I mean, they just spend gobs of money on it. Well, guess what? You don't collect crystal. Matter of fact, you never even said that you like crystal. You don't even like crystal. Guess who liked the crystal? That other person. So if they're not paying attention to the things that mean something to you, if they don't take time to know you, if they don't know, for example, what is your favorite color? They're constantly trying to force their favorite color on you. That's something that you need to consider. It's a sign, y'all. It's a sign, and I'm just trying to help you help yourself. So hopefully you found something that was very helpful in this video. If you have any questions at all, some other things that you think we need to add to our list of considerations, please post your comments at the bottom of the video. You have a great day, and God bless you. Goodbye.